Hi, Ashley here with HeartHookHome.com, and today we are going to learn how to do the construction on my Egg-cellent apron. This is an apron that is meant for collecting eggs if you own hens, and you will just go out and collect your eggs just like this. In order to make this egg apron, all you need to know is how to crochet these half double crochet stitch and a few single crochet stitches that we use for the strap up here at the top. So if you can make a half double crochet, you can crochet this apron. This apron is a free pattern available on HeartHookHome.com. In order to make it, you will need some cotton or a cotton blend yarn, about 725 yards worth. This is a worsted weight cotton blend yarn. You will also need a crochet hook, and I am using a 4.5mm crochet hook. You will need whatever hook size you need to obtain the gauge as listed in the pattern. Then you will need some bobby pins. I know this sounds interesting, but it really does help when we go to sew on these pockets for counting and making sure that each one of these is going to be properly sized in order to have one egg in each pocket. Because you will need to sew that, you will need a yarn needle. The sewing is the most tedious part of this project, but it really isn't too bad with some tips and tricks that we'll talk about as we go along in this video. So grab your supplies, work up your bottom pocket, your middle pocket, your top pocket. These two are the same exact pattern, and then a cell phone pocket. If you don't need your cell phone pocket, which you can put, anything in there, you could do 3 of these longer pockets and just have 3 long pockets, and that way you'll be able to carry 2 more eggs. So the questions that I get about this pattern most frequently are how to attach these pockets, because they do look a little funky, like how does this get on here and how does it make sense? We are going to do this together. We are also going to add on the strap across the top, because I do get questions on that as well. It's really not that difficult. Make sure that you have all of your pieces assembled. So first, let me get situated here. The first thing that you're going to do is create your apron back, and this is just using half double crochet stitches, and it's only 76 stitches wide, so you're going to crochet a rectangle that looks just like this, flat out half double crochet. You might notice that it looks a little bit on the holey side, and that is perfectly fine because we are using a cotton or a cotton blend. When you wash it, which you probably will need to if you've got dirty eggs going in there, straight out of the chicken coop, you're going to need to wash it. And when you do wash it, since there is that cotton component to the fiber in the yarn, it will shrink up just a little bit and tighten up those stitches and make it look nice and sturdy and good to go. The first thing that I tell you to do when you are working up this or getting ready to construct the egg apron is to get a package of bobby pins. I'm just using straight up regular old bobby pins. I've noticed that this works tremendously well because it keeps you from having to count over and over and over while you're actually doing the sewing portion of this project. So here I've got a handful of bobby pins. I'm going to be marking every 15th stitch. So as you can see in the pictures, each pocket is kind of pooched, I guess, like this, right? So that you can fit the egg down inside. So we're going to have 10 stitches across the bottom of each pocket to 15 stitches across the top, and that just creates the little pooch so that you can fit the egg down inside of that little pocket itself. So count out 15 stitches. Right here, we're just going to take a bobby pin and just insert it, just like that. And now we're going to continue every 15 stitches, we're going to insert a bobby pin. So when you place your last bobby pin, you should have 15 stitches remaining, and this will be your outside pocket. So this is, with all of our little bobby pins here, this is going to be our bottom pocket. And as you can see, we're going to sew at the portion where the bobby pin is, and then these right here are going to be where our eggs actually settle and nestle down in there. So I'm going to mark every 15 stitches of the bottom pocket as well as the middle pocket and the top pocket. Okay, so now that I have all of these pockets marked for my pockets on my individual eggs, I'm going to mark my apron back. So go ahead and move these up and try to keep the bottom pocket separate because it is slightly larger than those two other pockets. And now we're going to mark where we're going to attach these on the actual apron bottom here. So we are going to count, we've got our bobby pins for the placement on our apron back. We're going to count the 4th row up from the bottom. So each one of these lines, if you're counting in half double crochet, row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So this right here, where this ridge is right here, this is where I'm going to mark, and I'm going to mark the 3rd stitch in from the side. So this is 1, 2, and 3. So right here is going to be the bottom corner of my bottom pocket. And now I'm going to go on the other side over here, and I'm going to count the 4th row up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to make sure that we are going 1, 2, 3 stitches in and mark that. So that is going to be the bottom right corner of your bottom pocket. Now we're going to count from where we have right here, we're going to count up 12 rows and mark it again. That's going to be the bottom of the next pocket. So we've got right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now we want to make sure that we are 1, 2, 3 stitches in. So this guy right here is where we're going to mark for the bottom of that middle pocket. Now we're going to count up 12 and mark it again for the top pocket. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we've got 1, 2, 3. So right here is our final bobby pin on the right side of the apron. So these are going to be the bottom of the bottom pocket, the bottom of the middle pocket, and the bottom of the top pocket. Now what we're going to do is we are going to count 60 stitches, since both of the pockets that will go here are 60 stitches across the bottom, not 60 inches. We're going to count those 60 and we're going to mark them over here as well. I know this sounds like a lot of counting, but trust me, it's better to do it now and to mark those places than to have to do it while you're sewing and after you've already got some stitches down. So I'm going to count 60 right across this line right here and put a bobby pin right where that goes. I am going to count this as number 1. The one with the bobby pin is stitch number 1. Mark that one, that is number 60. I'm just going to put it right on through that stitch there. You can see that these are on the same line of stitches as if you were to track it all the way across. So you're just going across that row and marking right there. So now I'm going to do that same exact thing for this one over here. And number 1 is the one with the bobby pin. Here is number 60, so I'm going to make sure that I'm marking this one right here. Perfect. And now the only thing left to mark is your cell phone pocket, right? So I'm just going to go 1 stitch to the left of these 2 here, the ones that we just placed, and I'm just going to mark that. Really, since it's just 1 stitch, you don't have to do that at all, but it is helpful. So right here, I'm going to mark. I'm not really going to have to do the top one because we are going to sew that just going straight up. So it's going to be taller than this bobby pin right here. I have taken the time to go ahead and sew on this first bottom pocket so that we have a visual before we move on to actually sewing on this pocket together on camera. The most important thing, or the thing that I get questioned about the most with this pattern construction, is in between these pockets, if there is any space or not. And no, the answer is that we sew in between each pocket all the way down to the bottom. It's a lot easier. It does not have to be very difficult. So now I've got my bottom pocket sewn. I've got my middle pocket ready to sew. I've marked my 15 stitches every time across the top here so that those are the top of our pockets. Now I'm going to flip it down like this. I'm going to find the outermost stitch and I'm going to find this next bobby pin right here, and we're going to start sewing at the bottom of this pocket all the way across. Let me zoom in so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so I've gone ahead and threaded my yarn needle. I've got a decent bit of yarn here because I'm going to need to sew the entire bottom of the pocket. So I'm going to find the outermost stitch here. I'm going to go into this guy right here. Where this is just the bottom corner of this pocket. Now I'm going to pull this on through. I'm going to go ahead and hook that stitch there. I'm going to remove that bobby pin. As far as the length of tail to leave, you don't need to leave a whole lot. We'll just weave that in here in a little bit. So I'm going to remove this bobby pin. And now I'm just going to very whip stitch it together. You could go ahead and do a small knot here just so that this doesn't go anywhere as we are sewing this together. So move that tail out of the way. You're going to find the next stitch here on the pocket itself and go through that next stitch on the apron body just like that. Pull it through with your left hand, and these are just tricks that I've learned from doing it so many times. Pull through with your left hand, feed it with your right. So there's the next stitch there. Find the next stitch on the back of the apron and go ahead, pull it on through with your left hand, or vice versa if you're left-handed. Find the next open stitch, and you can see that this one is where I went into this stitch here, so I'm going to go into this next one, find that one, go ahead and pull it on through, and this is all we're doing for the entire width of the whole thing. Here's this one, find the next stitch here, I'm going to go ahead and pull that all the way through. So we are just going to continue sewing this all the way across. Now that the bottom part of this pocket is sewn, we're going to flip it up and we're going to create the pockets like we have on the bottom here with this pocket. So first thing, what I'm going to do with this yarn tail, it is not enough to sew all of these pockets the way that they need to be sewn, but it is enough to go straight up the side of this pocket. One thing that you might find helpful is to insert a bobby pin here and find the corresponding spot that you're going to want to place that here. You can see that this is where the top pocket will go, the bottom of the top pocket. So you can count down to right here, and this is where you should end up with the top of this pocket. So you can go ahead and kind of pin that into place so that you can then use your yarn tail left over from sewing the bottom and sew this together here. And to do that, I'm just going to grab a little bit of the back of the apron fabric, and I'm just going to come through the side of the pocket here so that it's catching both fabrics. Pull that on through, and I'm just going to do this all the way up the side, making sure that I'm staying in line so that it's still lined up perfectly as I work my way to the top. Go ahead and remove that bobby pin and make sure that that top is sewn in nice and secure. Now I'm going to weave in that end. I'll do that later for video purposes. But now our side of the pocket is excellent and ready to hold its egg. See, it's almost holding that shape already. So this bobby pin here is going to go straight down in the back, and then this is your pocket to where you will actually insert your egg. The most important thing here is remember that we said the bottom of each pocket is 10 stitches wide, right? The top is 15 stitches. So what you're going to do is you're going to count, this is where you attached here, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And sometimes it can be helpful if you just pop that same bobby pin for the top of that pocket into that stitch where it's supposed to go, just like this. So now we know that this is a pocket. So now I'm going to go ahead and insert my needle down here, and I'm going to weave in this tail later. So make sure that from the point here to the point at the top of the bobby pin, we are just going to go through both fabrics. And so as I'm going back and forth, this does not have to be precise, it does not have to be pretty. You only need to make sure that you are catching the back side of the apron as well as the pocket, right? And so what these stitches do that go up and down the center of these pockets here, what these stitches do is make sure that these eggs don't touch as you're walking. So I'm just going to go, they do not have to look pretty, remember, just in and out, and you don't even have to do it a lot, just a few times to keep those eggs from touching. And again, I'm going through so that it's coming out the back as well, so that I'm catching both of those fabrics. You will not be able to see these stitches. That's exactly what I did down here, and you cannot see these stitches down here, so it's going to be perfectly fine. When you get to the top here, feed that yarn up through where that stitch is supposed to be. Go ahead and pull that through, and we're going to go in the back. We're going to hook that stitch there, right? So now we can remove this bobby pin if we choose to. Go ahead and get that out of the way. Perfect. All right, so now that I've gone around the back of the apron, I'm just going to grab a little bit more of that stitch or the apron back to really secure the top of this pocket. I'm going to come up through here and then back down through here, and there is our first pocket completed. Now, from where that is, I'm going to rotate. And I will say that the sewing of this project is the most tedious aspect. But see how there's a pocket here? Like my hand will not go any farther down. That is the perfect opening right there for that little egg to just get nestled right down in there. So, easiest way to do this without clipping your yarn every single time is fold the rest of the pocket down, just like this, and feed your yarn needle in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We are just feeding it over the width of those 10 stitches, and this keeps us from having to weave in all of those ends every single pocket. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got it. Okay, so this is going to be where this bobby pin comes into place. Pull that on through. Snag where that bobby pin is, and you can go ahead and remove that as long as you keep a visual on it. Snag where that bobby pin was. Let's get repositioned here. And now we are ready to go back out that same stitch, a different part of it, so that you make sure that you're snagging the whole stitch. And boom. So now we have created that next pocket. Now we need to do the stitching down the center so that the eggs do not touch. I'm going to move it this way. And now I'm just going to make sure that I do find it helpful if you push this fabric over so that it's nice and flat, and then just go in and out like a caterpillar, I suppose, or a worm. All right, so now that we've gone straight down here, it's time to move over 10 to the right. Now we're going to take our bobby pin that's up here, we're going to count 10 stitches to the right, hook the bobby pin in there, and then we're going to sew through both fabrics all the way up. All right, now we only have one more to do, and all that's going to be is I'm going to feed through here and I'm going to sew the edge together. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and weave in all of these ends. There's not that many, thankfully, because of the way we do this. See how great this is looking? Isn't that awesome? I just love it so much. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach this pocket without you on camera, and then I'm going to do the cell phone pocket next. So the cell phone pocket goes here, or whatever you want to put in it. Doesn't have to be a cell phone. Goes right here, and then the bottom pocket goes at the top. I'm going to go ahead and attach this bottom pocket, or this top pocket. It's exactly what I just did on this middle pocket here, and then all we have left is the strap. All right, so here we have a completed Egg-cellent apron, and it is ready for harvesting all of those beautiful eggs. We all know how expensive eggs are right now, right? So all that's left to do is the strap. Now, to make the strap, what we're going to do is we're going to start, I've started a chain here. You're going to do a chain of 75. These are 75 chains, and now all we're going to do is we're going to find this upper right hand stitch right here. We're just going to single crochet all the way across. When we get to the other side, we're going to do another chain so that we have a chain on this side and a chain on this side that we'll use to wrap around our body and attach. I'm going to find that outermost stitch right there. I'm just going to single crochet. And now I'm going to do that, single crochet, all the way across. So 76 times should be. Now that I've made my way all the way across the top of the apron, I'm ready to do my chain for the other side. So like I said, we started with 75 over here. I'm going to do 76 over here. Now the last one, that one extra, is going to account for the side of the second row. So I'm going to do a chain 76. All right, now that I've got 76 chains on this side and 75 chains on this side, you can see that what I've got here is going to be my apron strap, right? So this entire apron strap is all single crochet, so what I'm going to do next is to find the second loop from my hook, which is right here. I'm going to go into the back bar, and I'm just going to single crochet my way all the way back across the entire front and then through these chains as well. You're going to do that for 10 rows, so just do 10 rows of single crochet. When we're finished with that, I'll hook back up with you and we will finish our Egg-cellent apron together. Here I just finished the 10th row of the single crochet strap. Now that we are completely done crocheting the apron, we are ready to strengthen the strap. We did it twice as tall as we want it to be completed, so we're going to fold that to the back and we're going to make it twice as thick. So what you can do for the first portion here, where your yarn is still attached, make sure that it's in the correct orientation, that it's not going to be folded over on each other or the wrong way. And then you can go through with your thread, your yarn and your crochet hook, and you can do just a slip stitch. Go through stitch for stitch, just making this slip stitch through both sides of the fabric here, and just slip stitch all the way. When we get to the apron body, we'll pull this on through and sew that securely across, and then we will slip stitch the rest of the way across the other half of the strap. Now that I've finished all the way across the strap, I've started going through the actual back with the yarn needle. So in order to do that, I am just inserting my needle straight through both fabrics, back there and in the next. And we are just sewing this together so that it stays nice and sturdy. When I get completely done sewing all of my straps down and everything else, we will take a look at this awesome egg apron. I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's not the most fun thing sewing, but it's not too bad once you learn the tips and tricks in this video. So that is all there is to the Egg-cellent apron crochet pattern. Remember, this is a free pattern that is available on hearthookhome.com. Makes for excellent gifts this chick season if you have friends or family members or you yourself have chickens. I've noticed that this is also a really great seller at craft fairs, so something that you could put out on your booth with a business card that says available for purchase. I do ask that you credit Hearthook Home as the pattern designer, and that is all there is to it. So thank you guys for watching, and thanks for crocheting with me. I look forward to creating more with you soon. Thanks for watching.